A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. My fellow Gambians and my fellow UDP brothers and sisters, this is Yunus Hydara, a concerned Gambian and a bona fide UDP member. This is the first of the series of speeches I'll be making online regarding the path forward for my country and for my party. And I implore your kind attention and to listen to me with an open mind. First of all, it has been an absolute honor to be invited to the UDP Spanish Convention. It has been a privilege to be able to attend the occasion and meet with party leader, party officials and party members. I was deeply touched by the genuine love and affection I received from the party members. But more importantly, I was greatly inspired by these party members who are doing remarkable work out of the limelight, seeking no recognition, but driven entirely by love for party and love for country. And from the bottom of my heart, I'll say thank you very much. Overall, the Spanish Convention was a success, thanks to the organizers and fundraising team led by my good brother, Mamadou Coulibaly. When the Spanish Convention was first announced on the UDP online banter bar, I immediately commented to say that I will be attending the occasion, inshallah. And I meant it. I also donated my money towards the preparation of the event and subsequently attended the event, paid from my own pockets. I went to Spain looking forward to a nice event that will be characterized by inspirational speeches, policy discussion, and ambience with the party members, and to help in any way I can to raise funds for the party. My fellow UDPians, to my dismay, an event that was supposed to be used to foster unity and cohesion in the party was used as a platform, both in public and private deliberations, to throw shade and venom towards a colleague, an executive UDP member, and a current mayor. Talib Bensouda's only crime to these people is that he is running the most functional municipality in the country that is yielding results despite the constraints. And he is loved by many as a result, both in the UDP and outside the UDP. This was why he was given another mandate, despite the incumbent's desperate effort to corrupt him into switching allegiance to the NPP, and used all means to stop him from being re-elected. The people see in him commitment to duty, decency, focus, and dedication to public service. And to the UDP, the party that made him who he is today, he remained absolute loyal to. The unnecessary attack on him by his colleague I found very unfair, which is why I had to speak up. I am not speaking to divide my party. That's never my intention. I spoke to highlight a problem that is already in public, and I asked for it to be addressed before too late. Because if this problem is not diffused and addressed, it will explode perhaps at some point closer to elections, and that is in nobody's benefit. But fellow UDPians, this is not about Talib, as I believe Talib is more than capable to defend himself. And no, it's not about me having an agenda either. Talib has never expressed his political ambition to me, and if I knew anything about what he is up to, it's through his public interviews on various platforms. Few months ago, however, I saw a public discussion around the subject of UDP flag bearership, triggered by Rohit Malik Low, who alleged that a potential coup was being orchestrated within the UDP. As always, I never shy away from throwing my 2 cents on trending issues based on tightly reasoned arguments and guided by my conscience in what I believe is in the best interest of our people. I never knew this, my honest take, will get me branded as a Talib loyalist to a point that I will be treated as a suspect within my party's occasion and provoked unnecessarily by a UDP executive member. Indeed, I never believed for once that I have the power to impose a candidate on my party. My fellow UDPians, by any standard, I will take a person who will give it to me straight to my face, give me their honest take over a person or group who only tells me what I want to hear, speaking about unity on the surface, declaring unquestionable loyalty to the party and its leadership, while underneath doing everything to undermine the party's and the country's best interest for their own narrow self-interest. These are the people who are really dividing the party. But like I said, this is not about me or Talib. This is about the sad and unfortunate situation we have in the country that is characterized by moral and economic decadence and indifference to the plight of the people, and the role that the UDP must play in stepping up to task in meeting the expectations of the people. The joy and hope we felt post-2016 elections was quickly changed into despair and hopelessness. The institutions that we wanted built are undermined and further weakened. Our desire for a new constitution was abandoned. Our transitional justice program was abandoned, and all promises made to us now completely forgotten. Consequently, we face an enormous challenge as a people, including but not limited to rising costs of living, high crime rates, high youth unemployment, and more young people dying in the Mediterranean Sea. Yet, in the midst of all these problems, our two main political leaders, President Barrow and Honorable Dabo, have decided to put all these problems aside and reduce our national discourse to being all about them, indulging in a ping-pong fight using arguments that none of them is entirely innocent of. Consequently, morale in the country is at all-time low. Standards cannot be any lower, and in the middle of all these is the innocent women and children in the country who are living just to stay alive. We've all agreed Barrow, as the elected president, is the most to be blamed. Most Gambians have completely lost faith in Barrow and have turned to an alternative, the main opposition party, whom we expect higher moral ground in conduct that is consistent with our nation's highest values. These values include sympathy and compassion for the people, honesty, accountability, just to name a few. The UDP leader, Honorable Lawyer Dabo, who we all revere and respect, since 2016 has made many political miscalculations, showing some significant moral lapses that have resulted in making it near impossible to sell him as a presidential candidate to cross-section of society. We can all compete in showing loyalty and love to Dabo, calling for Dabo by force, but in a democratic dispensation, force cannot get anyone elected. you have to appeal to a vast majority to win. This has further put the UDP in a very compromised position in any argument premised in the so-called whataboutism, causing our party members to be defensive, defiant, and in some cases aggressive, and creating a negative perception around the party. I have vehemently supported Lawyer Dabo's call for Barrow to return the land when he called it out. But on the same vein, I also called on Lawyer Dabo's daughter to return the land for more deserving Gambians to have it. I don't know the legality and validity of his daughter and wife's land application because I did not see their application forms. But I know this is tainted by significant moral and ethical lapses. Fenda lives in the United States. Based on the minimum wage at least, she only needs to work 5 hours to match the entire month's salary of 90% of Gambian workers, not to mention the vast majority that are unemployed and on no income. I do not know about Honorable Dabo's wife's situation, but I know based on our religious, traditional, and even laws, Honorable Dabo's properties are also his wife's properties. We have seen the list of properties he declared to the IEC. What we know for sure, however, is his wife and daughter have somewhere decent to live, unlike many Gambians who do not have a place of their own and don't have any connection or with any influential figures for them to be allocated with a land in a short space of time. Overall, I do not care much about the legal question here because Gambian electorates are more receptive to moral suasion than any high-minded legal argument you can come up with. In my book, this has further diminished Dabo's election prospects and has further reinforced the perception that politicians are inherently dishonest and only in it for themselves and nobody else. There is a reason Fenda and his wife did not apply for land prior to 2016, because their best chance of successful application was after 2016. Fellow Gambians and fellow UDPians, by all indication, Honorable Dabo has finally made up his mind to run for 2026 elections. He is still made to believe that he did not lose the 2021 elections and used a lot of messaging in Spain to discuss ways to block electoral irregularities. I have no doubt electoral irregularities have occurred in 2021, but not to a magnitude able to change the outcome of the elections. The margin of over 200,000 votes cannot be explained by election irregularities. He also stated that he is the party's leader till 2030 and that he currently see no party member that can fill his shoes. To me, this statement suggests failure of leadership on his part. Like Obama once said, any leader who believes, and I quote, any leader who believes that only him can get the job done, then such leader has truly failed to build his country and his people. But I disagree with Honorable Dabo on this statement because I believe there are many capable UDP members whom, by getting strong endorsement from Honorable Dabo, will take the UDP to State House with great ease. It is no doubt Dabo commands a lot of respect within the UDP, but sadly, this has never been sufficient to take us into the State House. And it has now gotten to a point when some of his key loyalists are saying in private that he will lose woefully if he runs in 2026, including even those who are constantly in his ear telling him that he is the greatest and the most credible candidate to win the 2026 election. Even Barrow is luring Dabo to run because Barrow knows 2026 will be a walk in the park for him if Dabo runs. My fellow UDPians and concerned Gambians, as such, I call on all conscientious and well-meaning Gambians to prevail on Honorable Dabo and appeal to him to forgo his intention to run for 2026 elections. This will allow the country the necessary reset that it so badly needs. He should now initiate a transition process guided by fair and transparent democratic process to select a new flag bearer that will infuse the new energy, vitality, and focus that we need. We will all rally behind the chosen candidate, whoever it may be, and develop a new agenda for the country and hit the ground running into 2026 elections. Fellow Gambians, please join me to say, Baba Sabari Silam. Baba Sabari Silam Be Danila. There will be no level playing field if Baba puts himself forward in the selection process, because nobody will dare challenge him due to the respect that we all have for him. I firmly believe this is what's in Dabo's best interest, as well as the party's and that of the country. And no, the UDP constitution has no time frame stipulated to initiate this process. Certainly, the constitution will provide a provision for this process to be initiated, especially during times of moral crisis. Therefore, at this point, we are all being tested as party members. My mother taught me the Quran while I was growing up as a kid, and there is one particular verse that she always emphasized to me. It says, and I quote, Kullukum ra'in wa kullukum mash'ulun an ra'iyatihi. In this verse, God has said, you are all leaders and you will all be held accountable upon your leadership in the day of judgment. Indeed, we are all leaders, whether as heads of our little families, heads of communities, heads of governments and institutions, heads of political parties, as well as ordinary responsible adults. Fellow Gambians, the minimum leadership Gambia currently needs from all of us is to be honest in speaking truth to power. There exists a thin line between loyalty and integrity. When loyalty to party or its leadership clashes with loyalty to the greater good, the noble thing to do is to defend loyalty to the greater good. Mbading, katonya fo ito iteria manyana kateria tinya. Certainly, truth cannot damage a cause that is just. If the UDP is on the just course, it should not see truth as a threat to its unity. To the young people of the Gambia, we are the largest demographics and the ones with the highest at stake. This is the power at your disposal to defend your interest that you seem unaware of. Use it to demand better from your leaders. We must stay united, because any division within us is only working in favor of politicians and their connected few elites. We are in the same boat, to all young people. and we have a shared future. Foster the courage to speak up for what is right, at least. As our erudite brother Dr. Babagale Jallow once said in his write-ups, if you are standing upon the truth will keep you standing. So fear nobody in speaking the truth. Speak your conscience in defense of what is right. What have you possibly got to lose? The country has already hit the rock bottom. It can only go up from here. My fellow UDPians, I would like to say to you that I am more UDP today than ever before. The UDP is a party that's been part of my life since childhood. It is a source of normalcy for me. Like Obama once said, it's only when one decides to embark on a cause greater than oneself, they get to find a community and purpose for their lives. In the UDP, I have found a community where unconditional love is readily given. But more importantly, in the UDP, I have found purpose for my life. A purpose premised on ushering a better Gambia that our children will be proud of. Along the lines, definitely, mistakes were made, and I had publicly expressed my displeasure for some of these mistakes. But one thing is for sure, that I've never lost faith in the party. Fundamentally, I also had a lot of disagreement policy-wise with Honorable Dabo while he was in government. And this mainly due to his lack of action to promote the agenda of the victims. I have called on him many times on social media for him to use his influence and the UDP-dominated parliament to formulate a policy to provide respite for the victims, such as financial support, medical or psychosocial support. This has never happened, and many victims have died before the end of TRRC, and many still await justice and adequate compensation. Certainly, folks like Solo Sandeng's family, Sukai Dahaba, Dogo Njai of blessed memory, were never allocated with the land. From today going forward, fellow Gambians and fellow UDPians, my advocacy will be to appeal to Honorable Dabo to facilitate a way forward towards producing a viable candidate for 2026. If this did not happen, and Dabo runs for elections himself, I swear to God, he will lose again, and history will not be kind to him. But if he facilitates a viable candidate, the UDP will see an astronomical boost in support never seen before. The party will win, and it will walk into the State House, and Honorable Dabo will have his wishes ushering in the new, in having a better Gambia. This advocacy will be guided by decorum, respect for the elderly in line with our religious and traditional values, and most importantly, it will be guided by conscience. So fellow UDPians and concerned citizens of the Gambia, I am now asking you not to support me. All I'm asking you is to speak up honestly on your best and most genuine judgment in deciding the way forward for the party and for the country. And no, this is not about me looking for opportunity to earn a living from public service, as some will say. Indeed, over the past 10 years, I have worked hard to develop myself through the academia to qualify into a field that is currently at the tip of global demand. Indeed, if I wanted a job from the government, many efforts were once made for me to join the incumbent party where I will have the opportunity to serve in positions. And less than 6 months ago, I was contacted to send my CV, which will be given to Barrow. A gesture I respectfully declined. And those who are saying I'm looking for attention, I will tell you today, I need no one's validation because I already believe that I am valid. My beautiful family remains my greatest source of joy, comfort, and strength. And no threats and intimidation, insult, and character assassination I will pay no mind to. Because if Solo Sandeng can die for Gambia, I sure can take insults for Gambia. I owe it to my conscience, and I owe it to many young Gambians who believe the little influence and voice I may have to not mindlessly go with the mainstream narrative. And if we fail to do the right thing, I will unfortunately say to you again that I was right, and we will all suffer the consequences. So, Mbading, I count on you for the love of God, for the love of country, for the love of party, and indeed for the love of Honorable Lawyer Dabo. Speak up on what you really believe in and make sure we all do what is right. We cannot afford to miss 2026 because if we do, we are giving Barrow a blank check to do whatever he wants. And I have a genuine fear, we will become stateless and the Gambia will have no choice but to join Senegal. And that's if Senegal wants to take a bunch of failed country. Thank you very much, and thank you for listening. And my apologies if I offend anyone. But the one thing that we will do is to speak. Thank you very much, and God bless.